I was there, I had to work full-time, 40 hours a week. I could not afford to rely on my father. My father was a common, simple man, a welder by trade. He could not afford to pay my way through college, and so I earned my way. I worked 40 hours a week on the assembly line at General Motors Truck and Coach. I worked at night on the assembly line, and I went to school in the daytime, and I did that while I was there. As I worked on the assembly line there at General Motors Truck and Coach, they were working 3 shifts a day, 8 hours each shift, 24/7. The assembly line never stopped. And the economy was robust. Everybody had a job. Unemployment was unknown. The community there in Pontiac, Michigan, where I lived just outside Detroit, was growing and prosperous. I just went back a few weeks later after 35 years being away. I couldn't believe the difference. There are parts of Detroit today, I kid you not, that look like Beirut, Lebanon. You would swear that you were in a Middle Eastern war zone. There are parts of Detroit that you would swear was not the United States of America. The plant that I used to work at, Plant 5, General Motors Truck and Coach, has been torn down. Most of the other plants that I saw there around the area have been torn down. The ones that are still there are dilapidated, abandoned. No one's there but the rats and the mice and the roaches. The economy is in the toilet. People are working 3 or 4 jobs trying to make a living. People are fleeing the state in record numbers. It's a devastation that's taken place there in Michigan. And other parts of the Midwest have also been affected. I'm not sure if this area of Pennsylvania has been affected by this loss of jobs in manufacturing, but I can tell you there are parts of Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, where it is a very serious malady. Well, who's to blame? The Republicans blame the Democrats. The Democrats blame the Republicans. The fact of the matter is both of the major parties are equally culpable. I remind you that back in the 1990s, it was the Democrat Bill Clinton and the Republican Bob Dole who collaborated together to bring NAFTA into existence. And since NAFTA, there's been CAFTA, and there's been GATT, and there's WTO, and now on the horizon there's the FTAA. And they're sending all of our jobs to Mexico and to China and to India. And they call it free trade. My friends, it's not free trade. What it is, it's a free ride for communist China. That's what it is. And it's a shaft to our American workers. I was raised in a blue-collar family. My dad was a welder, as I said. I know what it's like to live in a blue-collar home. I worked at a blue-collar job. My dad was a lifelong Teamster. I still have his Teamster button in my possession. He passed away in 1993 at the age of 86 years of age. I was a UAW member for the 2 years I worked for General Motors. I understand what those guys are all about. And I got to tell you, most of those guys are simply, they're hard-working, honest. Most of them are God-fearing people that all they want to do is work hard, and they want to be proud of the American-made product that they manufacture, and they want to have a family, and they want to have a good life. That's what most of them are all about. And what they've done, both of these parties together have collaborated on these, quote, free trade deals, and what they've done is they've destroyed our manufacturing bases, they've destroyed our factories, they've destroyed our jobs, they've destroyed our economy. And you know what the fact of the matter is? I'm not sure that if we had to face a real serious military threat, such as, and I'm not talking about Iran or Iraq, I'm talking about a real threat like maybe communist Red China, we would be in serious difficulty to match that threat. Do you know that much of the arms that we produce for our troops are not even made in the United States? Are you aware that the sidearm that our men carry comes from overseas? That most of the ammunition that goes into the guns that we shoot come from overseas? Do you know that Helicopter 1, the Marine Corps helicopter that the President flies around in, made in China? Do you know that if we had to produce the material that would be necessary to fight a serious international conflict with a serious major force in this world, I'm not sure that we have the manufacturing capability to do it. I'm not sure that we would not be able to actually supply what is necessary, the materiel, that to supply a major effort that would confront these United States of America in a very serious conflict. So what we're talking about, my friends, is not just economic considerations. We're not talking about the economy only. We're not talking about standard of living. We're not talking about taxes only. We are talking about America's survival. We're talking about America's security. And for this government to ignore what's happening to our manufacturing and to our jobs and to allow this to be outsourced, and President Bush gets up and says it's good to outsource America's jobs. These guys are either living in a dream world, out of touch with reality, or they are deliberately contributing to the sacrifice of America's protection and security. Either way, they are contributing to our insecurity, to our demise. And if the American people don't wake up soon and put some real patriots, some real Americans in charge of this government, we are toast.